All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something that's been shaping our world since, well, forever. I'm talking about the hidden power of symbols. And yeah, that includes the very screen you're looking at right now. Let's kick things off with this, because it really gets to the core of what we're talking about. The idea here is that way before we had sophisticated language, just this simple act of paying attention to something, that was enough to start changing the world. Not with brute force, but with something, a lot more subtle. So just picture it. You're in a cave thousands and thousands of years ago. You see a handprint on the wall, maybe a painting of a bison, or just a simple spiral scratched into the rock. It's easy to just think, oh, that's just decoration. But it wasn't. These marks had a purpose. They had a job to do. And that's the big mystery we're really digging into here. If they weren't just art for art's sake, then what were they for? What was their actual function? What did these symbols do? Not just to the people who made them, but to the world itself. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. The answer isn't some complex philosophy. It's a mechanism. Something that wasn't really invented so much as it was discovered. A kind of basic feedback loop that could connect a simple scratch on a wall to a massive change in the world outside. So how did this ancient loop actually work? It's pretty straightforward, really. You have a symbol, right? Like that spiral. That symbol grabs your attention. Your focused attention then changes your behavior. And that new behavior, it changes the outcome in the real world. When you see that new outcome, it creates a memory, which makes the original symbol even more powerful. And boom, the loop is complete. So, the early humans who figured this out, they stumbled onto something huge. They realized that by using symbols to focus attention, they could literally tune their reality. It's like the symbols weren't just passive drawings anymore. They were becoming levers, tools to actually move the world. So, the big question is, how does something this simple scale up? How does a trick from a cave wall end up organizing entire civilization? Well, it happened in stages. First, symbols got tied to specific places and times. Think Stonehenge and the solstice. Then they got woven into myths and stories. But the real game changer, the absolute quantum leap, it was number. See, numbers are portable. They don't need a specific place. And that allowed this whole system to organize huge groups of people, which eventually led to the city. And once cities became these giant symbol processing machines, something really interesting happened. The fundamental question people were asking, it changed. It wasn't what is true anymore. It became, what holds us together? What works? The focus shifted from objective reality to the symbolic glue needed to keep a complex society from falling apart. And for a long time, this system worked beautifully. Meaning and mechanism were two sides of the same coin. But then the scientific revolution came along, and with its obsession for what could be precisely measured, it kind of broke our understanding of how symbols really work. It wasn't on purpose, but it happened. Suddenly, the world was split in two. You had mind over here and matter over there. Meaning became this fuzzy, subjective thing, totally separate from the hard mechanics of the universe. And in this new world, symbols got a major demotion. They went from being an active force to just, lifeless labels. The powerful loop we've been talking about, it didn't disappear, it just went underground. It became invisible because we no longer had a name for it. But something this powerful doesn't just go away. You can't just erase a fundamental principle of reality. So the loop found its way back. It snuck in through the back door, popping up in all these new fields that were studying how humans tick. And a lot of the time, they had no idea they were rediscovering this ancient mechanism. Psychology bumped into it with archetypes. Linguistics saw its shadow in deep language structures. But where it really came back with a vengeance was in media, advertising, and propaganda. These fields proved beyond a doubt that if you repeat certain symbols and stories, you can change how people behave. Not because the stories were objectively true, but because they were brilliant at reorganizing where people put their attention. Okay, so let's fast forward to right now. Let's look at how this ancient engine is running all around us today, at a scale and speed that would have been completely unimaginable to our ancestors. Think about it. Our lives are absolutely saturated with modern symbols. Corporate logos, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, calendar appointments, and of course the big ones, notifications, likes, endless social media feeds. Every single one of these is designed to do exactly what that spiral in the cave did, grab our attention and guide our behavior. They're like these little invisible rituals we perform all day, every day. I mean, really think about it that way. When your phone buzzes or pings, that's not just a notification. It's like an old temple bell calling you to pay attention. And the infinite scroll, that's a modern ritual. A never-ending parade of symbols, all perfectly engineered to keep you looking. And this is where we get to the really critical question for us today. When you're scrolling or liking or clicking, it feels like a choice, right? It feels like you're in control. But how many of us ever stop and recognize the architecture behind it all, the system that's designed to guide those very choices? So the final piece of the puzzle isn't some mystical secret. It's actually the opposite. It's about seeing clearly. It's about finally putting a name to this incredibly powerful hidden system and understanding it for what it is. Not magic, but mechanics. And here's the name: symbolic mechanics. If you take away one thing, let it be this. Symbols are not just passive pictures or words we look at. They are active operators. They are bits of code embedded directly into our environment, designed to shape what we do next. So here's the full loop, out in the open. It all starts with meaning, which shapes our attention. Our attention then guides our behavior. Our behavior literally reshapes reality around us. That new reality then feeds our beliefs. And finally, our beliefs circle all the way back to reinforce and stabilize the symbols that kick the whole thing off. It's a perfect, self-correcting, self-reinforcing system. When you get right down to it, nothing has really changed. The same exact principle that worked on a cave wall is working through the phone in your hand right now. The only difference is we've swapped out rock and paint for silicon and light. We've just built machines that run these loops way faster, way quieter, and way harder to notice. So we'll leave you with this final thought. The mystery was never about if this stuff worked. Of course it worked. The real mystery is who noticed, who forgot, and maybe most importantly, who learned how to hide it in plain sight, building the very world we're living in right now.